Welcome to the How You Got Started podcast, dedicated to helping you find your passions by hearing stories from entrepreneurs that are living theirs. Today, we're speaking with Carly Ann Moore, who is the owner of Your Business Beauty Academy. And she also hosts the podcast called Hello Beautiful. And, there's people in this life that when you connect with them, they have this spark, this energy. And Carly is definitely one of those people. It's contagious. So I'm really happy to have her on the show. So, welcome, Carly. Thank you for being here on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
So, tell me about your business and podcast and how it all got started.
Okay, so my business, I was a hairstylist for over 20 years, and I decided to step away from that about a year ago and do coaching. I built some online courses for beauty professionals. So I have the coaching and courses to help lead new beauty professionals into entrepreneurship with like sustainability and with ease, because I don't believe it has to be a grind and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And then I also my podcast, it is called Hello Beautiful. And that opportunity came across just through relationships that I've built over the years, which is a huge part of my coaching is actually teaching people how to connect with others and build relationships. It can open up so many really cool opportunities.
Amazing. Now, you mentioned on your website that the hustle culture doesn't really work. Can you share a little bit more about that?
I'll share a bit about it, kind of related to the beauty industry, since that's like where my jam is. So I have seen people work in two different ways. One is a constant hustle and grind and putting in more hours and like always in your head about it, right? Thinking about how you can do more and work more. And I'm speaking like physical, how can I physically do more? And I believe that that's kind of how we were taught. It's like if you wanna make more money, you put in more hours, and I've lived that way. And then I've also seen the other side where you can create so much, in the silence and in the peace and in your mind, and just having those quiet times, you can actually figure out ways to be more efficient, to implement just better systems and strategies in your business. So you're not working more hours for more money. You can actually work less hours and create more income. But a lot of that as well are a lot of it is it's in your head. It's your self-image. It's what you think you're deserving of. It's your beliefs around if that's actually possible, right? So I've done it both ways, and it's way better the way where you're not overwhelmed and burning out.
Absolutely. Can you tell me some of the things that you would share or advice that you would give for someone who is doing it the old way, where they're just, like on a hamster wheel versus the more calm, feeling collected and in control way? What are some things that you could do?
Yeah, the hamster wheel, I love that. I use that term all the time because I feel like 99% of us have just been on the hamster wheel at one point or another. So inside my business, I teach people how to implement just different methods and measures, different systems. So for example, um, actually, let's talk about the 80/20 rule for a second, because like this is kind of how it all came about. So usually 20% of the things that we do during the day produce 80% of the results that we actually want.
Mm.
For example, you're at an office job, you're working 9 to 5, you have a list of like 15 things that day you need to get done. It takes you all day. But the next day, you have the same amount of things to do, yet you have a dentist appointment at noon. And you manage to get all those things done before you leave. So I think that it's just cutting out the things that we don't actually need to do that keep us busy being busy. So that's kind of half of it. And then I think just as important is implementing mindfulness, implementing some mindset techniques to actually bring calm and peace and more positivity and just to change your perspective on things, and that brings a lot of ease as well. If I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely. What's the process? Because I am a scatterbrain. Pretty sure I have adult ADHD, or I think we all do in some some form. But how do you determine what is the 80 or the 20% that gives you the 80, no wait, how, am I saying that right? What is the,
Totally.
yeah, how
Yeah.
do you determine, like, what's that process of deciding what is right? Because for me it's like, ooh, shiny new thing, shiny new thing. And I'm just all over the place. But yeah, because I would love to know how to focus on the right thing.
It's focus. I think that you just said it. So, we start with building a vision of what you actually want in your life. So, let's say in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years even, how do you want to feel? I like to start with the feeling.
Hmm.
So, how do you want to feel and what will your life look like when you actually feel like that? So, for instance, will you be working the same amount of hours you do now, or do you really just want to work like part time? Say there's clients in your business right now, or things that you do that you don't really enjoy. Are you still going to be doing that in this perfect world, in this like vision of your perfect days? Or are you not going to deal with those people or do those things? Like, actually, what do you truly want? And not based off of all your past things, not based off of the things you see and touch and taste and feel, but like, go to your imagination. What do you want and how do you want it to feel? And I don't think many people actually do that. And
No.
then, so you have this like beautiful, this is what I want. And then I set this aside. And then we take like a huge piece of paper. And this is actually really fun. And you write down all the things you do now. So let's take your business on one piece of paper, all the things you do, down to like reading emails, I don't know, creating things on Canva, whatever it is you do. And then you can do it for family life, you can do it for personal stuff, but all the things. And then you just kind of go through and pick, first I do, what don't you want to do? And is it possible to actually get rid of that? Like for me, it was like cleaning my house. I don't want to
Yeah, nobody
do
wants to do that, but
it. So then I just like delegate. Like then it's like delegating the task to other people. So my children clean my house. It's don't come to my house. It's not very clean, but I don't have to do it. Or things like for business, I would spend forever ripping foils, like to do highlights. It takes forever. Um, and instead, I thought I'm going to spend that bit of extra money and buy pre-ripped foils. In that time that I was ripping foils, I can do another haircut and make more money than
Mm,
I'm spending to cover the up cost of the ripped foils. Does that make sense? So
right. Yeah.
I'm not saying you cut everything out and you never come back to it, but I would give it a couple of months and see if like you're still getting those same results. Maybe you don't have to add those things back in.
Hmm. Can you share a success story that you've had, where it's just like one of those stories where it sticks out and you're like, ah, that worked so well, and this person is so happy.
I love that. Okay. I have a client. I'm like, should we become friends? I love her so much. Her name is Marissa. And she was working in like a really toxic salon. She was working a ridiculous amount of hours, making like 40% commission. So very much an employee, making a little bit, having to follow all of these rules. And she's like me. She's like, I don't want to follow rules. I don't want to be told when I have to be here and what I have to wear and like all the things, which I feel like maybe a lot of your guests, Shannon, have that
Oh,
similar.
yeah. If you just watched my most recent podcast that like dropped today, which is Friday the 9th, February 9th, Dr. Cindy Ward, you can tell she's like a do her thing on her own, like do her own way. She's awesome. What a character, love her. Anyway, sorry, back to you.
No, that's great.
Sorry.
I will have to watch that episode. I love it. Your podcast episodes like are really inspiring. So thank you so much for doing this. I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, Marissa. So toxic salon, super stressed, and she wanted to work for herself. But like you said, she was just overwhelmed, right? She's like, I'm supposed to do boop, 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 all of these things. I was told I have to wait until boop, 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 all of the things.
Mm,
So she had all these doubts, all these limitations. She was like, there's no way I can possibly do all this stuff. So as we were working together, we went through that sheet where I'm like, what do you think you have to do? I'm like, don't have to do it, don't have to do it, don't have to do it, don't just focus on a couple of things. So
mm,
we started our, it's like just find a space and work on your confidence. Like start seeing yourself as a business owner,
mm,
not just as a hairstylist who goes in and cuts hair. Like
right.
you've already got the skills. You have to build that self-image of yourself as the person who runs their own business. So at the beginning, 90% of it was her mindset. and then just giving her really small tasks to do. Because really, like, whatever you want to create, if you can break it down into a few really simple daily tasks, those really small things over time create like massive results.
Absolutely. Oh, I can't that it must be so inspiring and so exciting when you have those limitations on yourself. You're like, I can't do that. And then all of a sudden you start taking those steps. That must be so exciting. Actually, I know that feeling. And it's scary. It's so scary to like push past that like boundary of like, who the heck do I think I am? You know?
That's it, right? It's like, how, and why do we do that to ourselves? Like, who do I think I am that I can XYZ all these new things? But we can do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, what do you see as the biggest area of change that a person, or just like one single thing that someone can do today to help them start moving in the right direction?
Get really clear on what you actually want and how it feels.
Hmm, interesting. And you keep saying how it feels, not just kind of what it is, how
Yeah.
it feels. Tell me more about that.
I We can all set these different goals and create these things that we want. But unless there's that desire, that feeling inside, I think that so often we let the feeling of fear and doubt stop us. It's almost like there's like this fear and doubt feeling here, and like we all know what that is, right? So yucky, but it holds you back from doing things. So if you can create this vision of your life or your business or whatever you want and attach a feeling of like joy and excitement and pride, like it's already happened. Like, how are you going to feel when you're actually there? What is that going to bring into your life? And hold onto that feeling when you're making a decision about going forward, when you're taking a step. Like, I think that feeling has to be stronger than the fear, or you just stay stuck and you do nothing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Um, I always like to kind of bring up challenges that people have gone through because I think it connects us to each other, right? We've all been through tough times. Can you think of any challenges that you're comfortable sharing that have helped define who you are today? And it was horrible at that point, but now, you wouldn't have changed it any other way.
Which one should I?
Yeah. Which one can I
Um,
say without scaring anyone?
Totally. Or like regretting that I told
Yeah.
you. Um, oh man, there was this moment. It was in a pub. So I was at a conference and it was like for business and mindset and all the things. It was when I was first starting this business. And actually, I wish that this moment happened to me like 30 years ago. But anyhow, um, I was complaining like we do, right? And I was using all the excuses. I was using other people as my excuses why I wasn't moving forward and creating what I wanted. My family, my circuit, like everything.
Mm,
And one of the men there, he said, nothing's going to change for you until you take 100% responsibility for your life. He's like, your life is how you see it. It's your perception. And you make every decision, you have every feeling based on that perception. So you're the only one that can change that. And he was like, so like effing step up, take responsibility, and create the life that you want. I was like, oh, it hurt. I was mad for like a day. I was so mad. And
yeah,
then
yeah. You're like, "What? What do you mean? I'd rather blame everybody else. It's easier." Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a hard pill to swallow where you're like, "Ah, damn it. Means I have to do all the work." But when you finally do, when you get to that point, you're like, "Oh, wait a second. I'm in control." As opposed to letting the world control your life, you get to be that person, which that's exciting.
Empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat, right? It's like that one moment where you realize, like, wait, I think I have something to do with my life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not up to everyone else and other people aren't, telling you what to do and yeah, that is very empowering. Um what are you excited for? Like what's coming up? What's new and exciting?
Such a I love this question. I live like 90% of my day in my imagination. So I'm like, I can answer you like actually things on the books that are coming up or all the things that I'm gonna do. But I'm launching a new membership that launches March 11th, and it's like a weekly mastermind, which is so exciting, right? Because a bunch of brains put together are so much more powerful than just trying to work it yourself. So we're gonna like simplify business, do a lot of mindset stuff, collaborations. Oh man, just anything and everything for beauty industry pros. And I'm really, really excited about that because any masterminds I've been in, like good masterminds, they're life changing. You don't know the things you don't know, and the one idea can change everything, right? Like you know that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that goes so many different ways that you do when you know better, you do better, and sometimes you just don't know better until all of a sudden it's presented to you and you're like, wow, and it is life changing. Absolutely.
It's really hard not for me to not ask you questions. Like, I'm like, "Oh god,"
Yeah.
like
Well, because you have a podcast and you're used to being the one to ask the questions. But if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. We can throw it in there. Um, Actually, I wanted to know, this is what I was thinking of. I wanted to know what your idea of beauty is.
Okay, and then I'm sending that question back to you after.
Okay.
Um, oh my gosh, what is my idea of beauty is confidence is the first word that comes to mind. I don't know, it's really hard to describe, I can picture what I think beauty is, which I know this is strange that I'm describing you an image in my head, but it's almost just like light. Like, when you meet somebody you're a prime example. I met you, and it's like you in the instant that I spoke to you, you just radiate this energy, and it's passionate, and it's caring, and it's just that's beautiful to me, like, that high vibe, that energy, I feel like you can feel beauty more so than see it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I used to say when I was a youngin, uh, like I I had dated this one guy that was like so good looking, and then what happened was turned out to not be the nicest person, and then their outer beauty almost seemed to fade. You know what I mean? Because it's not even about outer beauty, it's about who you are on the inside. And I think that when you're a beautiful soul, or you're trying to be a beautiful person, and by beautiful I mean kind and caring, like you said, to yourself and to others, and you care, and oftentimes that does come through in your physical form because you're taking care of yourself, um but not always. I don't know. It's so
I
hard.
know.
It's so hard because you know I I'm kind of annoyed with, like, it's I agree with taking care of yourself because that means you are your skin, your form. This is what you were given, right? This is what you're born with. You got to take, like, you can't leave it. You got to take it and you got to do the best with it that you can. Um but I don't know, like, how far do you go? How far
I
do you
know.
go to be beautiful in the eyes of other people? And I think it's like, I know you want to jump in right now. You're like, I want to say something. Uh, you go ahead. You go. I want to hear what you have to say.
I think you said it exactly. It's like, are you doing all these things for the eyes of other people,
Right.
or is it for you? And I think that's that difference.
Yes.
But I know exactly what you're saying and what you're getting at, and I agree with you. Like, it can go it scares me for my kids growing up on social media, where it's like everything's filtered, everything's fake, everything's you're supposed to look like this, and this.
Yeah.
That's terrifying because you can't put your self-worth on how other people think you should show up, which
Mhm.
40 years later, I'm, like, finally realizing that.
Right. It's hard though because those images and those ideas are kind of ingrained in you when you're young, and you grow up and you don't even realize it's not even yourself thinking it. It's kind of something that was put in your subconscious. So it's like how do you decipher between, okay, this is how I feel beautiful versus, oh, I need to do all of these things to make myself be beautiful. It's a really touchy subject, but I think at the end of the day, it just what matters is do what you feel is right for you. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Like, I know there's some people in my life that they're always commenting on their weight. I don't give a shit about your weight. It doesn't even phase me at all. I care about, are you happy? Are you being a loving person? And I love that person so much. Weight doesn't matter. Do you want to exercise? Cool. I don't care. Do you want to eat healthy or not drink? Whatever, like, that's up to you. I'm not going to go around and judge someone and love them based on how they're treating themselves. I'm going to just love you anyways. Yeah, I think that's beauty, just loving people no matter what, as long as they're not hurting you.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, got off on a little tangent
Oh,
there. What
oh,
else? What
man.
what else would you like to share, with the audience or with me?
Oh, man. Like, I'm like, there's so many things. I really love where this conversation is going, and I wanted to add that being behind the chair for 20 years, people would come in and, like, not exaggerating, I'm gonna say 9 out of 10, ooh, maybe like 9.9 out of 10 people, would instantly, and I don't even actually know if it was consciously or if it was just, like, so habitual, look in the mirror and start criticizing everything about themselves.
Right.
And me standing on the other side, knowing these people for years now, all I could think, and I think you just said that, all my thoughts on these women were, "You are so beautiful, you are so kind, you
Mhm.
have the hugest heart and the hugest soul." Like, I adore my clients, and it was really sad to watch, and I'm not saying that I don't do it too.
Right.
Sad to watch them sit in front of the mirror and just knock themselves down, and I don't even know if we know all the time that we're doing it, right? Like, it's the craziest. So I struggled a lot with I still do, being in the beauty industry because I do not want to promote, you have to have this, you have to have that, you have to look like this. But
Mhm.
that's my job, is to make people feel beautiful. So, like a massive part of what I teach inside the course and the mastermind
Mhm.
is making feel your clients feel beautiful on the inside, because that's the stuff that's always gonna stick around. So, yes, we get to
Yes.
do hair, makeup, nails, whatever it may be, and they're like, "Oh, I look beautiful." But if somebody can leave your space feeling better than they did before, that's a win. That's like, and then that's client retention, like, they are coming back. When you go to, like, why would you choose this hairstylist over this one? If they both gave you the same hair, it's probably the one who you feel really good with, right?
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
love
you
it.
feel
Yeah. As humans, we have the opportunity to do that with every single person we meet all day. And I think that that's beautiful too.
absolutely. That's what beauty is. It's how you make people feel on the inside. Yeah, I love that. This is so wonderful. Listen to us. We're all like, "Oh, beauty."
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Your energy is just so contagious, and I know that the people that you work with, they feel that energy and they leave feeling more beautiful after they've talked to you. Absolutely. I know I do. So, you know what? I think we'll end on that beautiful note. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. This is a bit of a different, way on a Zoom call, which is how you do your podcast. So, can you tell me a little bit more about how people can find you so that they can learn more and connect?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on, Shannon. Again, I've been looking forward to this. I love our conversations and I love what you do. I think it is really cool that you empower entrepreneurs and then you inspire other people who want to do their own thing and create a life that they love. And it's beautiful. How can people get a hold of me? So yourbeautybusinessacademy.com is my website. You can find my online course there. You can join up for the masterclass. It's like weekly live Monday calls on Zoom, super fun. And my podcast the podcast is on SoundCloud. It is Hello Beautiful. Everything really is in my bio on Instagram. That's like the best place. I should have just started with that. Been like Insta, Carly.Ann.Moore, links in bio to all of it.
Okay. Wonderful. That's great. Well, I hope people that are struggling in the beauty industry that they need someone to help direct them. I hope they find you because I know that they'll benefit from especially that 80/20 and the planning. Like that sounds exciting to me. I might need to hire you for myself for my own business. I know it's not beauty, but I love that idea of focus. So anyways, thank you so much for being on the show. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. And thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Take care.